how much you want to bet this is more than a pint jar? Because I said it would make less than a pint. Hello, howdy, and welcome to my kitchen. I'm Catherine, the Aerogarden Homesteader. So today's going to be a bit of a combo video. It's also going to take a long time. So, I am doing a small batch of cowboy candy. So this is a pound of peppers. These are the mini jalapeno that came off of the plant in the Aerogarden. I pruned back the plant super hard. I will put a picture of it just to show you how hard I pruned it back. It basically has no leaves. Part of that was the bug infestation, and part of that was, well, I need the space. Plus I want to know if I can get some of the plants that are inside out in the garden. So, since it had a bug infestation, and I had to take it down at some point, I figured this would be a good time to see if there's a way to transplant them, if there's a healthy way. So what I did was, I pruned it back really hard, and I pruned back the roots a little bit, and I left it in the Aerogarden. So it'll get fed. I think tomorrow is actually a feed day, so it'll get a nice little boost of food, and it'll be in a protected environment for now. And as soon as I see the smallest little signs of growth, either in the roots or in the leaves, I'm going to put it in a pot, because that shows me that it's still doing well. If it's not doing well, I'm obviously not going to transplant it. But if it's doing well, I will put it in a pot and I'll keep it inside in a controlled environment until I see more signs of it growing, and then I can slowly start acclimating it to being outside during the day. It's still a little cold at night, so... Oh, I was supposed to put it in a teaspoon. Well, that's what I get for talking and not following the recipe. So, I am making the cowboy candy sauce. And it calls for 1.5 cups of sugar. I'm doing a very small batch. So I have a pound of peppers. I'm doing a very small batch. This is 1.5 cups of sugar. Then I need a teaspoon of the garlic powder and 1/8 of a teaspoon of the turmeric. So I need to put in a bunch of these. And that's probably good enough. Okay, so I need to put in 1/2 cup of vinegar, and then I can get to chopping my peppers. So let's see. Calls for apple cider vinegar. I am not a fan of apple cider vinegar, so I always cut my vinegar with white vinegar. So obviously if you enjoy apple cider vinegar, the taste of it or whatever, you can go full strength. Oh my gosh. There we go. But I am going half strength on the apple cider vinegar. That's my 1/2 cup. Now, the reason why I want to get the sauce going first is, well, it will take a while for the sauce to get going, and it's also going to take me a while to get the peppers going, so I might as well do 2 things at once. So I need to bring this to a boil and simmer it for 5 minutes. Got my wooden spoon, move you over for a minute. So, that's what it looks like. So this is a great small batch. It should only make 2 jelly jars at most. So a pint. So that way, if you don't like it, you don't have that much to go through. But if you do like it, well then in future, to get more peppers. Oh, let's get these going. I am going to get some gloves because I have learned my lesson. I haven't actually learned my lesson, but you know what I mean. I can at least try to make an effort to, not get hot pepper all over my face. So, some of these are small, not quite fully red. Some of these are still green. Some of these are actually drying out and all wrinkly. I'm using them all. So, we're just going with it. This should be a nice mix of green and red. It'll be nice and colorful. Hopefully it'll be nice and spicy. This does call for cayenne pepper. I just don't really see the point in putting in cayenne pepper in something that's going to be hot. It's not really going to add that much flavor to it, it's just going to add heat. So now if it called for like smoked paprika, that would make sense. Or even chipotle. But you do what you want. I am just going to skip the cayenne pepper because I really don't see the point. Ooh, that's a nice big one. So I guess when I thought mini jalapeno, I was thinking it was either going to be mini plants or little mini ones like this, but look, this one is really big. I've had like a couple of, nice big ones. I think they might be slightly smaller than the big ones you get at the store, but I don't know. Okay, well, I am obviously going to pull out the chopper to make quick work of this, but all of these need to be cut in half and then chopped up into... I am actually doing a small dice because I find it's nice to put that on, you know, if I want to put it on a burger, it spreads like a spread. You know, it's like a relish. If I want to chuck some in my salad, I'm not hitting mega huge pieces of spicy pepper. I'm sure it tastes fine the other way, and it works well, but I took someone's advice, I think it was the 1870s Homestead, to cut it up finer, and I don't know if I'm going to go back. Okay, so just so you can see, this is actually starting to come up to a boil. And we stop stirring it for a second. It was, you can see the little bubbles starting to simmer under the surface. Get you in a better position. Trying to hold the tripod and get you in a good spot. There you go, see? It's starting to boil. So I'm going to let this come up to a full rolling boil, and then I will start the 5-minute timer. Hopefully by then I will have all of my peppers cut. So, back to the peppers. I'll just speed through this because this is noisy. So my timer is started, and just so you know, always grab a bigger pot than you think you need when it comes to sugar, because it will foam up. Okay, so this is just simmering away. Hopefully I didn't boil it too hard. It does say simmer. I thought it was boil for 5 minutes, but it's actually simmer for 5 minutes. Obviously be careful not to breathe in the vinegar fumes. Okay, now, it says bring back to a boil, which it pretty much is boiling. And add the peppers. Ooh, definitely don't breathe in those fumes either. Bring this up to a boil for 5 minutes. Let's see if I can get the rest of this out. Okay. Is that up to a boil yet? Not quite. Well, almost. So this recipe is it's a third of the weight of the peppers and a quarter of the sauce. Because I did find it made a lot of sauce last time. I don't know if you noticed, but when I first put the peppers in, it was really dry, the sauce. But it was really dry. But once the peppers hit that hot sauce, it released a bunch of liquid, and now it's all watery again. So it's okay to make less sauce, is what I'm telling you. So I made less sauce. So I made a quarter of the sauce for a third of the peppers, if that makes sense. I'll write the recipe down below. I'll link to it, but I'll write down what I actually did. I can also link the video where I canned this, so if you wanted to, you could can this and have it on the shelf. It does require a 2-week marinating period so the flavors can intensify. I will just put this in a jar and throw it in the fridge. In fact, I should get a jar. Okay, there we go. Got a jar. Funnel. Okay, this has been simmer boiling for about the 4 minutes. Next step is to actually drain it and put it in the jar, because I need to boil the sauce separately. And my kitchen is now full of spicy, vinegary fumes, so if I have to cough, pardon me. How much you want to bet this is more than a pint jar? Because I said it would make less than a pint. Okay, well, that might be all I can get out of that. So, bring this up to a boil, and it says boil hard for 6 minutes. So, it shouldn't take long to come up to a boil. I don't know if you can see, but it's just coming to the top. Here, we'll take the, see, we got a little bit of headspace left, but it actually did make a little bit less than a pint, or 2 jelly jars. Probably don't need to get every little seed, but that's good. Okay, 6 minutes. Okay, I'm going to call that done because the sugar actually smells like it's starting to burn a little, so just to cool off a little before I put it in the jar. It's also very spicy. Get that off the heat. So I guess with a smaller batch there is the risk of burning the sugar. Very thick and caramelly. So this is a little different from the last batch I made. It didn't seem quite so thick. So just something to take into account. Oh yeah, that is weird. If you can see, it is really thick. There we go. See, it's really thick. It's very dark in color. The sugar definitely caramelized a lot. I'm just mixing it in because there was a little juice that made it on the bottom. So this way, if it was boiled for too long, I don't want it to be like hard crack candy in here. So this will hopefully make sure it stays a little loose. Also want to make sure I get enough of the mixture in there. Alright, well I think that's all the jar can hold. So it did not use every speck of sauce, but used quite a bit of it. So the recipe does say let it sit and marinate for at least 2 weeks, so this will just sit in the fridge after it cools down. And we will see how it turns out. Hopefully I didn't burn the sugar. Alright, well this will be a long haul video because I also need to check on the peppers, get those transplanted, up-potted. So I will take you along. This video will encompass all of it. So you just have to bear with me. Careful, this has very spicy fumes too, if you do decide to make this. Yeah, I gotta get this cleaned up, but it's gotta sit and cool anyways. So this is the mini jalapeno. I really hacked it back the last time I was in here, and you can see there's a little bit of new growth here, there's a little bit poking out here, there's some under the trellis. I guess I can take the trellising off. There's a bunch of new growth all the way down the stem on this one. So I am going to pull this one out and I'm going to pot it up, and I'm going to bring you along with me for that. So pulling it out might be a problem just because of how big the roots are, but we'll see. I guess I can get this trellis off. It's not doing any good. Alright, I do have a bucket here, so I can put this in the bucket. Now I want to pull this out gently because I don't want to damage too many of the roots. I did prune the roots back, so I'm hoping we'll see some root growth. Ooh, that's tight. But, oh my gosh. Okay, well hopefully I don't damage the roots too badly. This may not be a good experiment. This might be a bust. Oh boy. There's quite a mass of roots down there, even though I pruned it. Okay, root strength. Whew. Okay, let's get that in a pot with some dirt. Okay, get a little bit of hand protection on. Actually, these ones are a little bit better. Okay, so unfortunately for this, we do need to sacrifice the basket. So I got these, let me see if I can get these in here. Whew, bent the basket. Alright, I don't know. Well, that one came off nice. Let's see if we can cut that off. Ooh. Okay, get the collar off. So hopefully I didn't damage the branches. Now the tricky part's going to be getting this off. I don't want to leave it in there because I don't want to just leave plastic in the ground either. I mean, I guess it's going to go in a pot, but still. Can't see the bottom. Can't tell if it's root or bottom. Oh, it grew out of the bottom. Alright, well that ought to be fun. There we go. Okay, wow, a little bit of root damage, but hopefully not too bad. So I have a pot here that I think will be a decent size for the amount of roots, but I don't want it to be massive because I'm going to want to water this really heavily for the first little bit, and I don't want to water a big massive pot. So let's get some dirt in there. Mix in a little extra perlite, so hopefully it'll help keep things a little fluffier. So I'm just going to put some of that in. This does have a decent amount of sphagnum moss in it, or peat moss, or whatever we're calling it. So hopefully that'll help retain a lot of the moisture for this plant. Okay, so from what I understand, because I have absolutely never done this before, when you're transplanting from a watery environment to a dirt environment, it's really hard on the roots. That's actually why I pruned back the plant and the roots. So I did both. I waited for the plant to start recovering because I was hoping that by that point the roots would start recovering, and if it's pushing out new root growth, I'm hoping that the roots will adapt to their new environment, but I will need to keep this really moist for the next week, or I don't know how long, but I'll have to keep it really moist for a little bit just to help it compensate, because it's just used to drying up the water whenever it wants it. So that is in the pot. So this is the pot I used. It's got holes in the bottom, so I will be putting it on a tray that I can keep filled with water so that the plant always has water. So we will see. We'll see how it goes. I will continue to check back on this and let you know. Hopefully this doesn't take forever. It would be nice to know, within 2 weeks or so, because I don't want this going on forever. I would like to get this whole video out to you in a timely fashion, because this is now the time to start getting things sort of out of Aerogardens and in the ground, if that's what you want to do. This I will probably, once it recovers, if it recovers, I will put it in a bigger pot and just leave it outdoors where it'll just get hit by the sprinklers, but we'll see. We'll see what kind of space I have in the garden. It says to marinate for 2 weeks. This has been 2 weeks. I have eaten a little bit of it over the course of time. It's a beautiful red color, and it turned out really nice. In fact, I do think this one is a little spicier than the green ones. This is a burrito bowl. I'm going to put some of this on and enjoy it. And in case you have freeze-dried avocado, you can puree it up in a blender, like blitz it until it's powder, and turn it into a really nice avocado cilantro dressing. I will give you plant updates on how the plants are doing after I've transplanted some of the pots, but this is how that turned out. So this is a really nice small batch of cowboy candy. So it's really nice to be able to try out a recipe before canning up a whole bunch of it, putting it on the shelf, and realizing, what do I do with this? I hope you found this actually a useful video. Give it a try. Cowboy candy has been really good. I was surprised by it. I do feel like the first pepper might actually be recovering. So it's got a little bit of growth on the side. It's not been growing a ton, so I do think there was a bit of a transplant shock. The other pepper plants, which I transplanted after this one but allowed to have more recovery time, do seem like they're doing a little bit better. So I have pruned the last of the peppers, which I'll show you here, and they do seem like they're doing a little bit better. And so the last couple of peppers that I pruned back, I will also give them a little extra recovery time. I didn't prune the roots on the other one, and I don't know if that'll make a difference or not, so I guess we will see. But I hope you found this video useful. I hope this gives you an idea of maybe what might help to transplant some of these older plants that have beefy stems on them. And let me know if you do try this and if it worked or didn't work for you. So far I've only done this with peppers, but maybe I could try to expand this out to other plants. I think tomatoes would do well, but you could just take a cutting off a tomato plant, honestly, and just root that and get a clone off of it. So I hope you found this useful. I hope you enjoy making a small batch of cowboy candy, and I will see you next time on the Aerogarden Homestead.